In this video, we're going to take a look at loading .357 Magnum ammunition on the Dillon XL650 progressive reloading press. The first thing that we're going to do is going to be to fill the powder measure so that we can validate our powder charge and adjust it accordingly. And since we're going to be loading full house .357 Magnum loads, we're going to use Hodgdon H110 powder today. So we'll just use our fingers as a guide and dump our powder into the powder measure. This powder measure is nice because it features a built-in baffle, which will result in consistent powder charges over the duration of loading powder from a full powder measure to an empty powder measure. So start with an empty .357 Magnum case and zero out your scale so that we know any additional weight we add is the powder charge. Next, we're going to insert the case at the priming station. Don't worry if there's a primer, just don't press forward on the handle. And then we're going to raise the ram, which will result in a powder charge being dispensed. We'll remove the brass pin at station number 3 so that we can remove the case and weigh this on our scale. So now let's weigh the casing with the powder. Looks like we're at 15.5 grains. We're going to have to get a half more grain to get up to the load we want, which is 16 grains in this case. On the Dillon powder measure, there's a nut on the back of this powder measure. So I'm going to use a T-handle wrench, and this wrench is going to allow us to access this nut from behind the case feed system. So I'm just going to tighten that slightly, and we'll see what that does. So we just dispensed another load. Let's weigh that load. It looks like we're right on 16, so we're good to go. The last thing I'm going to do is going to be to top off the supply of primers prior to starting loading. So what we've done is we've already taken a flip tray and we've oriented the primers all the same way and then flipped them shiny side up. I'm just going to use the small primer pickup tube, which works for both pistol and rifle primers, and I'm just going to load these primers into the tube so that they can be inserted into the press, filling up the primer tube reservoir. So to fill the primers, I'm going to remove the weighted rod. I'm going to lift the primer warning arm out of the way, and then we're going to hold the tube inverted with respect to the position we picked the primers up in, and then I'm going to just pull this hitch pin, shake the tube to make sure the primers are all out of the pickup tube, and we're good to go. Just flip the arm back down, put our rod back in. Notice that when we get low on primers, we're going to have a warning because we have that optional accessory installed. Very convenient. Well, our press is pretty well set up. We already had the caliber conversion performed when we started. That will be covered in a separate video. We validated our powder charge. We've filled up our primer tube. I'm just going to hang a rack of bullets here. Note that this is a custom bullet tray that is compatible with my heavy-duty stand that I've got here, but Dillon also offers a bullet tray kit that's compatible with their strong mount system, which I just happen not to be using here. In order to test our setup and validate the adjustment of dies, we're just going to take a piece of .357 Magnum brass, insert it into the funnel so that we can feed this brass through the system. So let's run this brass through the press to create a sample round, and we'll validate our setup. So when I raise the ram and lower the handle, it's going to subsequently feed our case into station number 1. It's then going to get sized and deprimed. Now we're going to prime on the downstroke. We'll just validate that by lifting it out of the station, and voila, we've got a primer there, so that's good. Then we're going to charge the case with powder. That looks good. We're skipping the powder validation step because I don't have that accessory installed. We'll cover that in a separate video. Okay, now let's place a bullet. We'll seat that bullet, and then we'll crimp. And looking at this round, it looks really good, except I think I'm going to back our crimp die down just a little bit to get a more pronounced roll there. This is one of the nice things about the Dillon setup, is with Dillon dies you've got a separate seating and crimp station, which makes these adjustments more easy and not interdependent on one another. You can change each setting irrespective of the other. So to perform this adjustment, I'm going to take the tool head locator pin out so that I have wrench access, and then I'm going to carefully loosen the lock ring. This is a 1-inch wrench that I'm using here. So I'm going to back the lock ring off just a little bit, and I'm going to tighten the top nut here, which is going to lower our die slightly. And I want to keep that steady while I basically snug down the lock ring, and then I'm going to just gently tighten that. I'm going to put our locator pin back in, and we can run another test round through the system. So after running another round through the system, I have a slightly more pronounced roll crimp on the cartridge, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So we're ready to start loading. So now that we're ready to load, we're just going to turn on the case feeder, which will start the drop tube filling up. And when this is done, we'll be ready to start loading. I like to not rush things, keep everything nice and smooth. Notice how quiet the motor is on the case feeder. Sandy will load about as fast as you can grab and place the bullets. And there you have it, Full House 357 Magnum ammunition loaded on our XL650. This press is exceptionally smooth and very reliable. It has been a pleasure to load this ammunition on this press, and I'm hoping that you're going to join us on Ultimate Reloader as we look at many different aspects of reloading with the XL650 reloading press.